Now you're going to learn to read music using something called tablature, which most people call tabs for short. I'm even going to explain some parts of the tab you might not have noticed before. If you've never read tabs, this may seem like a lot, but don't worry. You'll get used to reading this music soon. Tab is a basic type of sheet music that tells you how to play things on the guitar. These tabs are a lot easier to read and take a lot less time to learn compared to regular sheet music. Regular sheet music shows how long each note is held for, and each note is represented by a different type of symbol. The position of this symbol on or between the lines of sheet music tells you which note it is. Tabs won't tell you how long to hold each note, but each section of the tab is usually separated into pieces that are called bars. For now, think of a bar as a 1, 2, 3, 4 count. Since tabs don't tell you how long to hold each note, you have to use your ears a bit to figure things out. But most guitar players use tabs because they will allow you to start reading music much faster. A tab has 6 lines going side to side like this. Each one of these lines is one of the 6 guitar strings. The strings in a tab are upside down compared to how you play the guitar. This can be a little confusing at first. A better way to think of this is that the tabs are read the same way as if you laid your guitar on your lap and you're looking down at it. Here you can see a guitar beside a guitar tab showing the way that the strings line up. The bottom line is the low E string. The next line above that is the A string, then the D string, G string, B string, and then the high E string on the very top. If you need help remembering the names of the strings, just think of the saying, "Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie." This little saying is helpful because it's easy to remember, and the first letter of each word tells you the notes of each string, from the low E string to the high E string. It's very important to remember that the bottom line of the tab is the low E string, and the top line of the tab is the high E string. Just remember, bottom line, low E string, high line, high E string. The numbers on the lines of the tab show you which frets to play. If you see a 7 on the 3rd line from the bottom, that means you're going to play the 7th fret on the D string, just like this. If you see a 0 on the 4th line from the bottom, that means you're going to play an open string or a non-fretted note on the G string like this. To practice reading tabs, let's look at the tabs for the master picker, power chords on the move, and rapid fire fingers. When looking at the tab for master picker, you'll see in the top left corner it says standard tuning. This means your guitar is tuned E, A, D, G, B, E. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. You'll also see a quarter note symbol that looks like this with an equal sign and a number beside it. This tells you how fast the music is supposed to be played. The speed of a song is called the tempo. If it says 100 here, that means the music should be played at 100 BPM or 100 beats per minute. Don't worry if you don't know how fast that is. You don't need to know that because you'll have metronomes and backing tracks that will guide you through these different speeds. Just know that this marking on the tab shows you the speed. Know that another word for speed is tempo, and know that the higher the number, the faster the speed. Here's a metronome at 100 beats per minute. This is a metronome at a speed of 150 beats per minute. On this tab, there are some symbols that look like a V and an upside down U. The upside down U shape is telling you to pick or strum down. The V shape is telling you to pick or strum up. In this exercise, you would play the open G string for the first half, and then play the 7th fret on the D string for the second half. Now look at the tab for rapid fire fingers. In the top left, you can see it says standard tuning. Once again, this means your guitar is tuned E, A, D, G, B, E. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. You can also see the tempo or speed here. Instead of having the up and down strokes of the pick listed with the V shape and the upside down U shape, there's some text that says use alternate picking. This means to pick down, up, and so on for the whole tab. Something different that you'll notice on this tab is another set of numbers underneath each bar of music. This row of numbers counts 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again. These numbers are here to show you which fingers to use to play which note. At the start of the tab, play the 7th fret on the low E string using your first finger. Next, play the 8th fret of the low E string using your second finger. Then play the 9th fret of the low E string using your third finger. And the 10th fret of the low E string using your fourth finger. Now let's look at two more quick examples of tabs. In the power chords on the Move tab, you'll see two notes stacked one above the other. When you see this, that means that the notes are played together at the exact same time. More than one note played at the same time is called a chord. At the start of this tab, there's a 4 on the low E string and a 6 on the A string. These two notes are stacked one above the other, so that means they're played at the exact same time as a chord. Here's one more example of a tab. This tab is different from the others because there are chord names above the chords. This capital E with a small m is showing that this is an E minor chord. This capital G is showing that this is a G major chord. You can quickly look at the top of the page to see all the chords that are in the song. These diagrams at the top of the page are chord charts. These will show you how to play each chord and which fingers to use for each note of the chord. Don't worry if you don't understand these yet. Chord charts are explained in another lesson. If you look here, you'll see the song is in 4/4 timing. This is called the time signature. The top number tells you how many counts are in a bar. And remember, one bar is from here to here. The bottom number tells you what type of note is being used to count. So if it's 4/4 timing, that means there are 4 counts in each bar, and you will count that using quarter notes. Just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to stay in time with the song. Most songs are in 4/4 timing, so you'll get really familiar with this. In future lessons, I'll share different time signatures that you can use when playing music. If you look at the very start of this tab, you'll see a special symbol. This symbol is a thick black line next to a thin black line and 2 dots beside that. You'll also see the same symbol at the end of the tab. These symbols are telling you to repeat what's in between these 2 points. So once you've played everything from left to right, you'll repeat it again. This number here tells you how many times to repeat it. You would repeat this section 30 times. If there was no number here where the 30x is, then you would only repeat this section once. The last things I want to point out on this tab are the curved lines going between these 2 D chords. Also look at the brackets around the notes on the second D chord. These curved lines are telling you that these notes are joined together, and the brackets around the notes are telling you not to strum. This second D chord in the brackets is only there to show you that the notes of the D chord are being held and are still ringing out into the next bar. Like I said, this might seem like a lot if you have never read a tab before, but don't stress about it. When you first start reading tabs, it will feel really slow and maybe a little painful, and that's okay. It will take some time, but eventually you'll be able to sight read these tabs, which means you'll be able to play along in time to music as you instantly read the tabs. Try going through, reading, and playing each one of these tabs before moving on to the next lesson. You can watch this lesson a few times until you feel comfortable with it. Or you can move ahead and then come back to watch this lesson again when you need to. You will be really good at reading tabs and chord charts after our next few lessons. Get ready because we've got some exciting things coming up.